Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sarva. Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sarva. Bando muy sabadana mote. Bando muy sabadana mote. Yara prasade bhai e bhavatoriya. Yara prasade bhai e bhavatoriya. Krishna prapti hoya hoite. Krishna prapti hoya hoite. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Pitete Koriya Ekya. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Pitete Koriya Ekya. Arana kari hamane asha. Arana kari hamane asha. Shri Guru Charane Roti Yehi se uttama gati. Shri Guru Charane Roti श्री प्रसाद पूरे सर्व आशा श्री प्रसाद पूरे सर्व आशा चक्षुदान दिलये जन्म जन्म प्रभु से दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशित प्रेम भक्ति अविद्या विनश्यते वेद गाए हर चरिता श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु आदम नर बंधु लोकनाथ लोकेर दीवाना हाँ प्रभु कर दया देह मोरे पद छाया एवे आज विचित्र भुवन श्रीला प्रभुपाद पतित पावन जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद श्रील प्रभुपाद श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे
Namami Saram Satchitanandarupam Yashattulanam Gokule Brajamanam
Namamishwaram Sachidanandarupam लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले भ्रजमानम्
Yashodabhiyana alabdhavamana param vishtam atanta todta gopal
यशोदाभियालोकलाघवमानम् परमिष्टम् अत्यन्ततोद्भृतगोप्या
Rudantamuhurnestam himam janta karam bhujayurvena shatakadekam
रुदन्तं मुहुर्नेत्रयुग्मं मृजन्तं कराम्भोजयुग्मेन सातं कनेत्रम्
Muhurshashtakam patrirekakanta Sitagravam damudaram bhaktivadham
मोषासकम्पत्रिरेखाङ्ककण्ठा शिताग्रवदामोदरं भक्तिवदम्
Iti Krishna Bhinanam Sadhu Sami Madhyantava Sampayantam
इति विश्वलीलाभिरानन्दकुण्डे स्वघोषं निमज्जन्तम् आख्यापयन्तम्
Adiyati Patindu Bhakta Jitata Ina Privata Sampati Bhakti
तदीयेषिताग्नेषु भक्तर्जितत्वं पुनः प्रेम तत्त्वं श्रद्धावृत्तिवन्दे
Param Deva Muktam Samgita
वरं देवमोक्षं न मोक्षपदिं न च गृणेऽहं वरेशदपीहा इदं सर्वपूर्णाद गोपालबालं सदा मे मनः श्रीरसं किमन्ये इदं ते मुखं भोजम् अत्यन्तनीले कृतं कुन्तले श्रीकरकृष्णगोप्या ओष्टमिदं बिम्बरक्तधरं मे मनव्यभिरात्ममलं भक्तलाभे नमो देव दामोदर अनंत विष्णु प्रसीद प्रबोधक जलधिमग्नम् अमेक्यं कृपादृष्टिवृष्ट्यादिदिनं वदनु ग्राहक्नेशमामज्ञं मध्यश्रीकृष्य स्वयमोचितो भक्तिवादकृतोच्चा
स्वताप्यव भक्ति क्षतामे प्रयच्छ नमस्ते ग्रहो में हस्ते दामोदरे
तथा प्रेम भक्तिं सगम प्रयच्छ Namaste Rame Sri Damodare. Namaste Surame Dupradipti Damne Tvadiyodaraya Vishwasvedamne. Namaradikaya Kadiya Priyaya Namo Ananta Leelaya Devaya Kriptam.
जय श्री भक्ति सिद्धांत गोस्वामी ठाकुर महाराज की जय श्री गौर किशोर बाबा जी महाराज की भक्ति ठाकुर की वैष्णव शिरोमणि श्री जगन्नाथ बाबा जी महाराज की भक्त सर गोस्वामी की राम आचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय ब्रजभूमि वृंदावन धाम की राम को दादा को गिरी गोवर्धन भगवान की राधा दामोदर भगवान की कहीना की नवद्वीप धाम की मायापुर धाम की गंगा माई की यमुना माई की पुरुषोत्तम सत्य जगन्नाथ पुरी धाम की जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की जय श्री श्री गौर निताई की जय श्री श्री राधा दामोदर भगवान की तुलसी महारानी की श्री विष्णुदेव भगवान की जय गौर परमानंद हरि हरि बोल हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण नमो
The Lord's feet of our spiritual master, only way by which we obtain pure devotional service. I bow down to the Lord's feet in great awe and reverence. By His grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. I only wish to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from His lotus mouth. Attachment to His lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desire. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates. By him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is devotion and mercy, the friend of the poor, the Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the three worlds. We take shelter at your lotus feet. For the save of the fallen soul. His divine grace of the Prabhupada. The Supreme Controller who possesses the eternal form of blissful knowledge, this glistening hearing, sweet will manifest itself into a food. The soul lies in the rubbish companion, the raptures of the storm, and the wreck. That ran into fear among each other, but that Supreme Lord, Sri Namada, I offer my humble little bits.
So excellent aspects of Lord Krishna's deity from the inhabitants of Gokula in full perfection. The devotees who are directed only to this majestic aspect of Narayana and Vaikuntha, the Lord heroine reveals, I am conquered and overwhelmed with pure loving devotion to the Supreme Lord Damodara, my obeisance hundreds and hundreds of times.
O Lord, although you are able to give all kinds of benedictions, I do not pray to you for liberation, nor eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon. My only prayer is that your childhood pastimes will constantly appear in my mind. O Lord, I do not even want to know your feature of karma. I simply wish that your childhood pastimes may ever be enacted in my heart.
O Lord, the cheeks of your blackish lotus face, which is enriched by the locks of curling hair, have become reddened like bimba fruits due to Mother Yashoda's kisses. What more can I describe than this? Millions of our opulences are of no use to me, but may this vision constantly remain in my mind.
O unlimited Vishnu, O Master, O Lord, be blessed upon me. I am drowning in an ocean of sorrow and I am almost like a dead man. Please shower the rain of mercy on me, on lifting me and protecting me with your nectarine vision.
O Lord,
O Lord, your form as a baby mother, Yasoda, bound you to a grinding stone with a rope for tying cows. You then freed the sons of Vera, Mani, and Nala, who were cursed to stand as trees, and you gave them the chance to become your devotees. Please bless me in the same way. I have no desire for liberation to your
O Lord, the entire universe was created by Lord Brahma, who was born from your abdomen, which was bound with a rope by Mother Yashoda. To this rope I offer my humble obeisances. I offer my obeisances to your most beloved Srimati Radharani and to your unlimited pastimes. Radha,
Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jai Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Nityananda, Girivaradhari.
Girivaradhari. Bhagavatam में पढ़ो।
Girivaradhari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya
Srimad Bhagavatam ki
Jai.
Gaur Premananda
Hare Bol.
Hare Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga.
Gauranga.
Om Namo Bhagavate.
क्योंकि थोड़ा माइक और इसको प्रभु को इसलिए वो ठीक ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
Other devotees can give a class no matter what's going on. Temple or upstairs or pendulum. I have trouble. In my commentaries to this letter, I often describe Srila Prabhupada out of my own affectionate bond with the disciple. Therefore, I emphasize that he is my own spiritual master, rather than expatiating upon how he is the founder authority for the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. That is my intent in writing these commentaries, whereas the Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, the more important work, focuses on Srila Prabhupada's worldwide accomplishments. Even in this book, however, which is written in the context of my own affection for Srila Prabhupada as my spiritual father, who saved my life by giving me Krishna consciousness, I must make it clear that he is no ordinary spiritual master. He not only saved me,
but he saved hundreds of thousands of others. He single-handedly transplanted the Bhaktilata, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement, from its original soil in India to the harsh northern climates of the Mlechas. And by his expert gardening skill, that bhakti plant has miraculously grown up, flourished, and spread. By 1967, this was already well underway, even while Srila Prabhupada patiently recuperated with a few devotees in India. His disciples in half a dozen U.S. centers planted their roots and introduced the Mahamantra, Prashadam, and Back to Godhead magazine to their countrymen, especially the youth of America. In this letter, Prabhupada simply desired that his own followers would imbibe spiritual vision from him in disciplic succession. And I hope, even in my absence, that the spirit of Krishna consciousness will be spread. And the spirit of Krishna consciousness was spread and is continuing to be spread. And Satsrup Maharaj says here, he says, even in this book, however, which is written in the context of my own affection for Srila Prabhupada as my spiritual father, who saved my life by giving me Krishna consciousness. So it's all Krishna consciousness is at the same time, it's for everything, everyone, but it's specifically, in my case, it's for me. It's for you. It's for each one of us individually. Krishna, everyone's relationship with Krishna is individual. To me, that's like the most astounding thing when I think about Krishna and his infinite parts and parcels. Like that's you and me, and all the infinite numbers of individual souls like you and me. Each one of us is unique. And it's like they say, there's no two snowflakes that are exactly the same. They say that. I don't know if there are, but that's what they say. And so there's a lot, you look at them, there's a lot of snowflakes in the sky and coming down sometimes for hours, no two alike. But that's nothing compared to the infinite numbers of jiva souls. Each one is a completely unique person. Every ant that you see, every whale that you see, every human being that you see, every blade of grass that you see, every living entity in Vaikuntha, every living entity in Goloka Vrindavan, every living entity is completely unique. How does Krishna do that? I think I'll make this one. And not like he has to think, oh no, I already made one like that. I'll have to change it a little. Krishna doesn't have to think like that. Like even in a family, parents can have 3 kids, 5 kids, 10 kids, once in a while even more than 10 kids. But each child is unique, and each child has his own personality, his own likes and dislikes, and father and mother relate to each one of their children in a very specific individual way. So that's, but they do it very naturally. They're their own children, and so Krishna is like that with infinite numbers of children or living entities, jiva souls. So to me, that always astounds me. It's a good example, not only of how Krishna is infinite, but how he's infinitely intelligent and relates to each one, just like people when Gopal Krishna Maharaj, and I know with Radhanath Swami, and I know with Satsru Maharaj, I know Jayapataka Swami and his relationship with many disciples. He has many disciples. I don't know him individually, but I know when everybody was talking about Gopal Krishna Maharaj, how Nandini was saying that she grew up in Nairobi, and of course, there's many devotees in Nairobi in the temple, and the Gopal Krishna Maharaj, he was visiting many temples, and when he came there, he would specifically ask her and her sister, like, how are you doing? He knew them individually. He knew everywhere he would go, he would treat each individual soul individually. I know when I was at Gitanagari, and Vedantashala Swami would come there at once every summer for a weekend retreat, and like about 500 of his disciples and followers would come there for that weekend, and you would see them not during the lecture, but between the lectures, like outside, all the devotees would be there, and he'd pretty much go up to all of them individually and just be very personal and into a specific relationship with each one of them. So Krishna consciousness, at the same time, it's for everyone. And spiritual master, certainly in Prabhupada's case, he was trying to liberate everyone in the material world, but each one of his disciples or each person that he related to is a very specific individual. And he saved me. And Prabhupada said that, like when his sannyas guru left his body, and there's a lecture from that day I think Prabhupada was in Oregon or Washington, and he got the news and he gave a lecture on that day. And anyway, I'm not sure if it was exactly at that time, but it might have been a different occasion. But one of his disciples asked him, said, what should we do if you leave your body? Should we go to one of your godbrothers and for a spiritual master? And Prabhupada didn't, he answered, he said, he said, and he cried, and he said, my spiritual master saved me. And that's all, I think he said a little more, but that was the main, what I remember. He said, my spiritual master saved me. So, and that's just emphasizing the point for us. And he wasn't like trying to, he was teaching a specific lesson in that case, but he was just speaking from his own feelings towards his spiritual master and towards his disciples. Why would you think about another spiritual master, even if I'm not physically present here? My spiritual master saved me. It's not an interchangeable relationship. Okay, this spiritual master is gone. I'll get that spiritual master. Yeah. So so Satru Maharaj speaks about that here. So I'm speaking of my own affection for Srila Prabhupada as my spiritual father who saved my life by giving me Krishna consciousness. But at the same time, he is no ordinary spiritual master. He not only saved me, but he saved hundreds of thousands of others. And then he says he single-handedly transplanted the Bhakti Lata from its original soil in India to the harsh northern climates of the Malechas by his expert gardening skill. So it's also a really astounding thing is that Prabhupada didn't just come and give knowledge. Of course, that's the primary thing he gave. He gave knowledge. He gave the Bhagavatam. He gave Bhagavad Gita. He gave us understanding us in the United States who knew nothing about Krishna consciousness, nothing about the devotional service to Krishna, nothing about Vedas or whatever thing people here did know about Vedas or Hinduism or anything. It was all some mistaken, misdirected, misguided impression of that we had learned in the course of time. So Prabhupada gave first and foremost knowledge of our eternal relationship with Krishna according to the authorized Shastra. But he gave everything. He transferred the whole of Krishna conscious society, culture, music, prasadam, dress, everything. Nowadays, people will say, well, sometimes devotees will say, well, in India, the men wear pants and shirts. It's just a way of dressing. But I know from very early in ISKCON, and the devotees didn't think, oh, this is wearing dhotis and saris. This is not just that this is an Indian way of dressing, but this is how they dress in the spiritual world. So everything was like that. Hardly anybody had been to India yet. Most of the disciples had never been to India for early at ISKCON. Some had, but most hadn't. And nobody thought of Prabhupada. And everybody knew he's from India in this material body. Everybody knew he's coming from India. And the devotees didn't think of him as an Indian. All the disciples thought of him as a resident of Goloka Vrindavan, a representative of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who's come here to preach. And everybody thought of him as Swamiji in the beginning, as Prabhupada, as Krishna's representative. They didn't think of him as an Indian. I always tell, when I listened to Prabhupada's lectures for 40 years, and in English, and after like 40 years, for the first time, I heard a recording. This is quite a long time after Prabhupada left. I heard a recording of him preaching in Hindi, and my first thought was, why is Prabhupada speaking in a foreign language? And so, yeah, it was just like that. So the dhotis and saris, the reading and singing in Sanskrit and Bengali and Hindi and whatever other Vaishnava languages their songs are in other languages, and in Russian and in Korean, they have Vaishnava songs written now, and African languages. They're not African languages or Indian languages. If it's used in Krishna's service, it's a language of Krishna, language of devotional service to Krishna, coming directly from the spiritual world. And that's how all the devotees thought. Everybody just thought, oh, this is how people dress in Goloka Vrindavan. They wear dhotis and saris. So it's how Swamiji dresses, it's how Prabhupada dresses. That's why devotees started to dress in dhotis and saris. Prabhupada didn't tell them to dress like that, but some of them picked it up and they started doing it. And they saw that Prabhupada liked it. And the ladies, they started wearing saris, and Prabhupada said, oh, you look very beautiful in a sari. So naturally, they wanted to look beautiful for Prabhupada. And so that's why devotees wore saris and dhotis. That's why men started shaving their heads and wearing tilak and doing all the things that devotees do, just because the Prabhupada did it and they wanted to dress and act the ways that Prabhupada liked. And he did like it, and he did want it. And after a little while, it became the standard, like this is how you dress, this is what you do, and this is how you wear tilak, this is how you do this. But in the beginning, it was devotees took to it gradually or quickly, but gradually, because they could see that Prabhupada liked it. And that's why in any relationship, that's what you do. You see that you meet somebody you like, and you see, oh, this person likes it when I do this, or they like it when I talk like that, or they like it when I dress like this. So you naturally want to do it. It's the most natural thing in the world. And when you do that for your spiritual master, you do that for Krishna, then it's the best thing. Yeah, so Prabhupada he brought everything. He brought everything. He brought a whole spirit, not only Indian culture. He grew up in India. He brought the Indian culture with him, but he brought the transcendental Indian culture with him. He brought the Goloka Vrindavan Indian culture with him, and everything he brought. Devotees' lives changed in every way. It's all going. I'll start reading this next letter. September 23rd, 1967. My dear Roy Ram, Satsvarupa, and Himavati, please accept my blessings. I have received many letters from you, and to some I have replied. I don't know whether I've replied to all your points. I'll be glad to hear from you about the progress of the Boston Center. So far as my health is concerned, definitely I've improved because I am now cooking and typing. When he left, he couldn't do those things, but he said, my health has improved. I'm now cooking and typing. I think I will be returning by the end of October. Please send a letter of invitation stating that my presence is urgently required in the States. This will help enormously in obtaining my permanent visa. I must produce concrete evidence of the necessity of my presence in America for this visa status. ACBS, signed ACBS. Prabhupada's letter of September 23rd is addressed to three persons, Roy Ram, myself, and Himavati, who were living in Boston at that time. Ramananda and Roy Ram had arranged that Roy Ram would transfer to Boston and take charge while I would take a supporting role. Prabhupada wrote to Roy Ram, I think by this time you have gone to Boston, but Roy Ram never came. Roy Ram's main engagement was publishing Back to Godhead, and Srila Prabhupada gave, through him, enduring instructions for Back to Godhead, as he did in this letter. I've received news from, this is Prabhupada's letter to Roy Ram. I've received news from other centers that Back to Godhead is now in demand, and your idea for publishing 5,000 copies is very encouraging. The news which we are publishing in Back to Godhead has certainly a novel presentation to the people in the Western world who are hankering after spiritual enlightenment. So if you continue to write articles on the basis of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, certainly they will appeal to the core of the hearts of all human beings. And surely the people will respond. So continue the policy scrupulously, and you will be successful. Prabhupada was very glad to hear that the circulation was increasing, in this case to 5,000 copies. in later by 1976, when I moved in here once a month, the two devotees from the Bhaktivedanta Trust, Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, would come in a big truck, and unload. It'd usually come about 6 in the morning or so when we were chanting japa, and it'd be like 20 or 30 men and some then women in the temple room, and we'd go outside and form a chain from the truck through the downstairs entrance in the front into the basement, and like once a month it unload like hundreds of cases of back to Godheads and Bhagavad Gita and Isopanishad, Srimad Bhagavatam into the basement. There was a line, and I would fill up the whole basement, stacking books along the whole wall. And the GBC room was a book storage room at that time, and it'd be filled with stacks of boxes of books, and devotees would go on and distribute. Anyways, the printing of the number of Back to Godheads and all the other books would increased very rapidly to whereas like, I don't know how many, but hundreds of thousands of Back to Godheads every month, and they'd be sort of given distributed to all the temples. And yeah, but in this case, we was glad to hear that the increase was up to 5,000 copies. He said it's very encouraging. And like that time, and one of Prabhupada's godbrothers asked him to come take charge of his temple in India. I forget where it was, maybe in Delhi, but I forget. But he said, take charge of the temples and take care of the brahmacharis and take charge of printing my monthly magazine. I forget the name of it. But Prabhupada was, and Prabhupada really got into it, managing the temple, taking care of the men, and printing and publishing the magazine. But the first thing he wanted to do was immediately was like increase the quality of the paper and make it nicer and increase the number of copies that they printed every time. And he presented that to his godbrother, whose magazine it was, and the godbrother wrote back to him, "No, just keep it at this circulation, this number of copies, and just do that. That's all I want, and that's all I want you to do." And anyway, Prabhupada just wasn't like that. He was never satisfied. He was satisfied no matter what was going on, but he always wanted, not satisfied like, oh, this is enough. It was never enough for Prabhupada. Prabhupada was very ambitious, like super ambitious and super greedy for publishing more and more, collecting more and more of everything. That's the nature of the spiritual world. And so it's infinite, but it's always increasing infinitely. So everything should increase. So he wanted that. And he was very glad to hear that Krishna consciousness was spreading very quickly. And he says here, so if you continue, this is certainly a novel presentation to the people in the Western world. And I can tell you, it was and is a novel presentation. Everything we do it's ever fresh, ever new. It's a novel presentation. Who are hankering after spiritual enlightenment. The nature of the spirit soul in the material world is hankering and lamenting. We're always wanting, oh, if I could only make more money, if I could only get this, if I could only do that. And then whether we get it or not, mostly in the material world, you don't get what you want. You're hankering and you don't get what you want. So you're lamenting, I'm not getting what I want. I'm not getting a lot of money. I'm not getting this, not getting that. So you're hankering and lamenting for that, or you're hankering, and sometimes you do get what you want, but it doesn't last, and then it's gone, and then you're lamenting because of that. Wanted that, I got it, but now it's gone. The nature of the soul is that we're full of desire, because Krishna is full of desire. Why does he do everything he does? Why does he dance with the gopis? Why does he play with the cowherd boys? Why does he take care of cows? Because he wants to. He has the unlimited desire to do these things. He's full of infinite desire. So naturally, we as his parts and parcels, we're full of desires too. And anyone who comes and says, oh, you should empty your mind, your consciousness of all desire. You should be desireless. That's the only way you can have peace, because people they are frustrated. They have a little bit of understanding. The reason I'm frustrated is because I want all this stuff and I don't get it. So that's making me frustrated. So if I just eliminate the desire, then I won't get frustrated and I won't suffer because of that. So just no mind, no desire, no consciousness, because I've been hurt too many times. Prabhupada gives that as a basic reason why people take the impersonalist idea, because they've been hurt so many times repeatedly in personal relationship, that they just think, okay, then I'm hurt by personal relationship, so I don't want any relationship. So that's therefore the impersonal understanding of the absolute. That's good, because I'm spiritual. I can be one with everything, but there's no personal relationship. So good. That's the only way to be satisfied. But the best way is to, Prabhupada gives the example of the person who's in the hospital and is suffering in so many ways, and somebody for a long time, and somebody says, oh, well, when a friend of his comes and says, oh, well, when you get well, you can come home and we can do this and we can do that. But he's suffering so much and for so long that he can't even imagine having a normal life, being healthy and being able to do things. He's only thinking of, oh, I'm suffering. If I could only end my pain. And Prabhupada gives that as an example of why people take to impersonalism. Anyway, we are hankering. We will hanker. And we will always be full of desires, because Krishna is, but we don't have to lament. Or if we lament, it'll be like the gopis lamenting because Krishna left Vrindavan and didn't come back. So they were definitely lamenting, but they were lamenting in pure Krishna consciousness and pure spiritual bliss. Their lamenting was. And even Srimati Radharani says that in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, I forget the exact words, but if something that I do causes me pain, then that will be the greatest, but you like it, Krishna, then that suffering will be my greatest pleasure. And so there's lamentation in the spiritual world too, but it's as with everything else, it's of a whole different quality, a whole different nature. Okay, better stop now. We've got to go get flowers.
So our desire should be how to replace material desire.
Just do what we're told by our spiritual master, and just dedicate our life and consciousness. Not just do what we're told, but do what we're told. Of course, just to do what you're told is the basis of everything. But do what we're asked to do by our spiritual master, and to surrender to it and do it with a whole heart. Is one letter Prabhupada wrote to Shivananda Prabhu, started the temple in Europe, in Germany. And he said, it doesn't matter what service you do in Krishna consciousness, just do it with a whole heart. We say wholeheartedly. So, so just whatever you, like the example Prabhupada gives is of a glass of milk in an inky atmosphere. He says that if the glass of milk is full, then there's no room for the ink to get into the glass of milk. But if whatever room is left without milk in the cup, then that will be filled by the inky substance. So we're like that's the example he gave for us. The more we fill our consciousness, our life with the order of our spiritual master and following it wholeheartedly, then there'll be less and less, and eventually no room for Maya. Like devotees used to go in, like if they're going in a van to New York City for Rath Yatra or something, or Prabhupada was there, well, it would be like, they have a van, and like maybe like 15 or 20 devotees piled in the back of a van, and the devotees would be like, well, no room for Maya. So they just don't leave any room for Maya. Okay, we better stop there. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai.